Hello everyone, welcome back to Minster Youth Online. My name's Beth and have we got a treat for you. I had a little chat with my friend Rachel this week, and Rachel is a mental health nurse. So we sat down and we talked about all things mental health, especially in lockdown. I hope you enjoy it. Rachel, thank you so much for coming and chatting to me. Rachel is my lovely, lovely friend. How are you doing?
I'm really well, thanks, Beth. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm all right. And this, Rachel, you've just informed me, this isn't your first lockdown interview. You're quite famous over lockdown. What's been going on? What interviews have you been doing?
Well, Beth, I have discovered that I am, in fact, a hero, an NHS hero.
There you are.
Yeah, I spoke on the radio last week.
That is
I
mad.
was getting a face-to-face.
Yeah.
Upgrade.
Oh, yes. And were you on, you said something about Songs of Praise. Did they interview you or were you like on it?
They interviewed me, so they're also doing radio from home as well.
Okay.
They were on Zoom and then a telephone call as well. And,
Oh my goodness.
one of the guys is the station, and he looked at me on Zoom and he just went, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then they got a telephone call.
That's so dramatic. Was it nerve-wracking?
It was a bit, because I think it's easier when you can see someone to chat to them.
That's true.
So well, it was okay. I mean, I
You're a
couldn't
big
hear
deal.
it.
You're a big deal. Have you cut your hair yet?
My husband did my hair. It was a few weeks ago, so I have had one hairdresser, but she's now gone home, so I'm now without a hairdresser.
Oh, I've not. It's so long now. From when lockdown first started, it's grown. So I wanted it to grow, so it's quite good actually. I've not done mine, but we've done Joe's.
Excellent.
That was he's quite a demanding customer when it comes to his hair. So it went, I think he was quite happy with the results.
Good.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You might leave your current line of work and go into hairdressing?
Maybe.
Option.
I think I'm going to go crazy. Once we come out of lockdown, I'm going to be like, make it go blue. Like, I feel like everyone's just going to get these new haircuts and just go a bit mad with it.
We finally can.
I know. Rachel, tell us a little bit about what you do and how it's been, how you found it over lockdown.
So, I work as a nurse, and I work down in Southampton, which is such a long way away from Preston.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up very near to Beth, so I'm a long, long way down south.
Yeah.
I work as a nurse, and I work in the big hospital here, but I work in the mental health team. So we're based at the General Hospital, that see people who are in mental health crises.
And what's it been like working on the front line over lockdown? How's that, what has that been like?
In a way, it's as dramatic as it sounds, but another way it's not. I think if you work in healthcare, in some ways your life hasn't changed that much because you can still go to work. I think if you've stopped being able to go to school or college or work, then your life has changed massively. But at least my life in some ways has sort of continued as normal. It's really different now. Everyone having to wear lots of face masks and aprons and gloves, that the whole atmosphere at the hospital can look quite different. I think initially tensions were really, really high, and just like for everyone, there's been lots of uncertainty and change. But I think there's a really good sense of camaraderie and a good sense of morale.
That's so interesting. I think the whole time that lockdown's been on, because we've heard so much about the NHS, and rightly so, on the news, I've wanted to see what is going on. How do the people working on the front line actually feel? I couldn't imagine doing that. It must just have been chaos at the beginning. Was it chaos at the beginning?
Yeah, it was. It would seem so we're normally based at one hospital, but then there was a time when our team was then split between two hospitals, and things were changing, not just every day, but like every hour. So like our manager would like come around the door and be like, hello everyone, we've got some change of plans. And we're like, okay, we'll change how we're working. And then like an hour later she'd be like, we've got a new change of plans. Which is really big changes. For a bit of time when we sit between the two hospitals, I've got a bike, so I was cycling between the two hospitals to do assessments at different places. So I used to have my scrubs on, and I'd be like cycling down through the park, and everyone's going past like, oh, there's an NHS worker doing the clap. Oh no,
That's so funny.
Or being like, danger, NHS, full of COVID. So lots of change, and it's really tough as well. Like, you obviously in lots of really high pressure situations, lots of people are going through really difficult times, and we're seeing very, very poorly people, and lots of people who are poorly in ways which they wouldn't be if it wasn't for COVID, and not just because they've got COVID itself, but other conditions. So that's been really tough. And there've been real highlights as well.
Yeah. And have you been using your NHS card to get to the front of queues?
Now that is a $1 million question. I haven't used it that much because...
What? I'd be like...
You don't want to flash the celebrity card. But the other day at Aldi's, I drove in and I was like, oh my goodness, they are queuing right round the car park. And I was like, I've got the magic card. And I was like, oh, I can't do it. So put my little coin in the trolley, push the trolley right past every single person in the queue, and then flash my card. And then, I think you don't get to feel like royalty very often, but then you feel like royalty. Although I'm not quite sure.
Good for you. You deserve it.
You go through, but then to be honest, I'm not sure whether people are keeping away to show their respect and honour, or whether they're keeping away because they're scared.
No, that's so true. I'd not thought about it like that. Wow.
We did get a free curry. That was really good. One day we got a free curry.
Oh wow.
There's loads of yeah. So it's quite nice for free things. But, it's having lots of the same things. So like you might have one day there'll be like 200 bags of crisps, which is great, and I do like crisps, but that is quite a lot of crisps.
Rachel, you're a mental health nurse. You specialize in mental health. So what have you seen from your patients that people are struggling with the most with their mental health over lockdown? What have you seen that people are struggling with the most?
That's a good question there. I think that we've probably seen two major things. One is that people who normally have quite complicated mental health conditions and are really quite poorly, but normally got a really good system of treatment and therapies and medication and groups and support in the community. So actually they can kind of get on okay with their condition. But because of lockdown, lots of that has had to change or had to stop, and that's been really tough because these people have kind of gone into a position of crisis, and they've become really quite mentally unwell, and that's all because of the lockdown stuff, and that's been really difficult to know how to kind of care for them best, because the best care for them isn't possible at the moment because care has changed. So that's probably one thing. And you've seen a lot of people who I think anxiety is probably a really huge thing. And sometimes when people become so anxious, they can engage in things which really aren't very good for them and aren't very healthy. And all their normal support networks might have gone, and that's been really tough. So lots of people who have either got anxiety and that's been kind of amplified, or they haven't really experienced stress and anxiety like this before, and there's been some quite key changes, and that's put them into quite a different headspace. They've become quite poorly.
Gosh. And what coming out of lockdown could cause quite a lot of like stress and anxiety for people, because this has been an insane few months of life completely changed, and now it looks like we're coming out of it a little bit more day by day, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And now we're going back into another change of kind of maybe how life was before, but probably not quite the same yet. So what would your advice be to us and to our young people about how we deal with that anxiety of change again, or any like mental health issues that might come up from all of this craziness, from being in one situation and then coming out of it? What would your advice be?
That's a good question, because I think that's something that all of us are having to work out for ourselves, whether we already struggle with our mental health, or whether someone in our family struggles with their mental health, or whether we don't, and whether normally mentally we're in quite a good place. As I say, all of us are going through so much change, and now having to anticipate lots more change as well. And I think probably one of the big things in this time is that we stay safe a lot, don't we? Stay safe, which can be really caring, and I think comes from an encouraging place. But I think that's difficult because it gives the impression that there's lots of danger around, and that's true. Like the virus does and can have a really negative impact on your health, and for some people it is very, very dangerous, that virus. But it doesn't mean that the whole world around us is dangerous, but the way that we use that language of stay safe, I think sometimes can give the impression that everything's dangerous, and where we've not done normal things like meeting up with friends, or playing sport, or going to school or work, those things we can feel quite nervous to do them again. So I think some of it is kind of like the self-control in the language we use and the language that we tell ourselves, and a lot for our own experience. Like we write the narrative in a way for our own life through the language that we use. So I think it's kind of just important to be aware of that. When it comes to change, I think it's recognising that we can't expect ourselves just to be like plain sailing and feeling great every single day. We say in our house that like it's okay to have a little bit of time each day to have your grieving time. That might be grieving for things which couldn't happen, which you wanted to happen, or not being able to see people, or do things that you want to do. And we in my housemates that like it's okay each day to just take a little moment to be like, oh, I feel quite sad, and I'm sad that this hasn't happened. And sometimes that might be really quite serious, because actually maybe someone in your family is very ill, or maybe something big in your life has had to change, or you've lost someone. But then it can be quite helpful to kind of give time to that, give time to that grieving, or give time to that anxiety, and then to park it, and then to do other things in your day. And especially with those anxious thoughts, they can come over and over and over and over and over, especially when we're trying to get to sleep. That's a really key time. Often those anxieties come, and being able to say, actually, I'm not going to think about this now, but I'm going to think about it at 10:30 tomorrow morning. I'm going to have half an hour or 10 minutes of thinking about those things, and that can be quite helpful, I think. And then doing all the normal things, like making sure that you're having your regular meals, making sure that you're going out, having fresh air, that you're getting good sleep at night. They seem like really basic, and you think, oh, why are you just so easy to do that? But that's some of the key things that we tell all of our patients, is those basic things, because they're things which keep us going each day.
Yeah. Oh, Rachel, that is so wise. Like I'm sat here soaking that up for me, of thinking of those times at nights where you just can't get to sleep because you're panicking or worrying about something, and just being like, I'm gonna park that there. Or I think that's really important as well, about being okay to grieve about things that we might not have been able to do, even if it's like, oh, I plan to go swimming and it didn't happen. That's so wise. Just another question before we finish. For some of our young people, they're going back into schools. what is your advice on they walk into school that first day they're back? So for some of them that's soon, for some of them like we still aren't sure when that's going to be. What is your advice of when they get back into school, they walk through the doors and they're just overcome of like it's overwhelming, they're panicking. What's your advice to them for when that happens?
That's a really good question, because I think and it's good to anticipate that might happen when you're up to school. And for some people, they experience that kind of panic or feeling overwhelmed really quite often.
Yeah.
And the variety of different skills which we can use. So I'm going to tell you two things, one about breathing and one about 5 things. So with breathing, a bit of science for you. For those who have done maybe their biology at GCSE, you might know that when there's a threat, for example, if we were still running around the jungle and we saw a tiger in front of us, our body has a natural system called the fight or flight system, and that's not really like processing in like the functioning part of the brain. It's the back of our brain, our emotional part. And what happens is we just go into fight or flight. And if you're faced with a tiger, that's really good, because that means rather than thinking, oh, that's a nice stripe, or that's a nice flower that's next to the tiger, or I wonder who could run the fastest, the tiger or actually your body just cuts all of that out, all of those like executive thoughts into your mouth, and it just goes to the back of your brain. It just goes, right, how can I get out of the situation straight away, or can I fight the tiger? And that's great in that situation. But obviously when you go to school and you walk through the door, seeing your teacher, seeing your classmates, that's not like an immediate danger situation. But sometimes our brains can go, rather than here, they can go to the back, and we can think, oh, I'm in a fight or flight situation, and what we experience is kind of like a panic attack. And it's actually really, really quite simple to kind of overcome that. And for different people who experience panic attacks, quite often they'll have lots of their own skills which they use. But a really general and basic one is that if we can get oxygen back to this front part of our brain, this front part of our brain can say, okay, I'm feeling scared, I'm feeling threatened, I'm feeling overwhelmed, but actually I can look around me and think, my teacher isn't a lion who's going to eat me, and my classmates aren't tigers who are going to chase me. I feel overwhelmed, but actually I can be here, this is a safe place. So all we need to do is give oxygen to the front of our brain again, and that's so easy to do. We just need to breathe.
Yeah.
Panicking, we can't breathe. So a really helpful thing to do is just to get back in control of your breathing. So you can do that by maybe finding a rectangle somewhere around you, maybe looking at a window. And what you need to do is just inhale up the short side of the window, and then hold on the corner, and then exhale going along the long side. And that just means that your inhale, you can do it with me now, we'll do it together. Find a rectangle in your room. maybe even you can see the screen.
Oh yeah, good one. I'm so excited.
You can all do some nice calm breathing together. So the most important thing is that our exhale is longer than our inhale. So we're just blowing off all the CO2 and doing some really nice deep breaths from our tummy. If you follow the rectangle on your screen,
I've got it, yeah.
Okay, then we're going to breathe in as we got the short side, and then hold it on the corner, and then out on the long side. Okay, so we're going to breathe in 1, 2, and hold, and out 5, 6, 7, 8, and in 1, 2, hold 3, 4, and out 5, 6. And that's really simple.
Wow.
You can just
That's so good. I've not heard that before. Of the rectangle.
Rectangle. So you just find a rectangle around you. And if you just work your way around the rectangle, just doing breathing like that. And it might be that you can just do it once on the rectangle, or maybe you do it multiple times. But all that does is that gives oxygen to the front of your brain. So actually, you know when we say when people get angry, they like flip the lid.
Yeah.
All we're doing is we're putting the lid back on again so we can re-engage this part of our brain. So breathing, that's one.
Wow. Oh my gosh, I'm like...
And then the other one, if we're feeling really overwhelmed, sometimes we can get in a headspace where we're feeling totally out of this situation, and our mind is panicking, and we're going in lots of different directions. We should just bring it back to where we are, because if it isn't a lion or tiger in front of you, or some of the or like a burning building, actually you don't want to be in that fight or flight state where you're feeling very panicked. You want to be in that time when you can actually think about things in front of your mind and weigh up and make a decision. So if you can find 5 different things around you which you can sense, then that really brings you back to the place where you are. It grounds you. And if you're able to use your 5 senses, then that's a really good way to do it. But maybe you're someone who prefers to use certain senses or quite used to other senses. So wherever you are, if you can find something which you can see, something which you can hear, something which you can taste, something which you can smell, and something which you can feel.
Okay.
And I almost forgot the senses then.
I forgot them all. Like, I know touch is one.
Oh, goodness. And that just brings you back to where you are. So at the moment, Beth, what can you see? Pick one thing that you can see.
I can see you. I can smell. What can I hear? I can hear. I've just cracked the window open a little bit. I can hear outside birds. Lovely. I can smell coffee because I've made a coffee. Hear, smell, see, touch. I'm sat on my bench.
Yeah, very nice.
And what was the last one?
Taste.
Coffee.
There you go.
Wow.
And that just helps you just bring you back, just ground you in the place that you are.
Absolutely.
And again, if after 5 things you find that your mind is still racing everywhere, just try and find 5 more.
Okay.
And what you're doing there is just to try and overcome and focus your mind rather than go off on all the different anxieties, all the different feeling overwhelmed, and just focus on the things which you can see, hear, touch, smell, taste.
All the others.
all the other senses. Yeah, that's probably useful. 5 things and rectangle breathing.
Wow. That is so good, Rachel. Honestly, like, I'm asking the questions on behalf of the young people, but also I'm like, I'm always needing to use those. So that is so good. Rachel, thank you so much for talking to me. And I think that is going to make such a difference to my life and the lives of our young people, of just those really practical tips of what we can do when we feel overwhelmed. And yeah, thanks so much, Rachel.
Can I pray for you all before I
Yay! Love that. Thank you.
Oh, please pray with me. We're just talking to God together.
Yeah.
Heavenly Father, thank you that we can be confident that you don't only hear our prayers, but you also listen to them, and you also love it when we talk to you. Thanks, God, that we can talk to you wherever we are, however we're feeling, and whatever we're doing. Jesus, we think of the time when you met the disciples the first time after you rose from the dead, and you said to them, peace be with you, peace be with you. And Jesus, thank you that you don't only give us peace in our relationship with God if we put our trust in you, but you'll also give us peace as an experience, a peace which is beyond anything which we can understand and beyond our circumstances. So, Father, I want to just pray now for Mr. Youth. I thank you for them. Thank you that some of them know you and that some of them trust you. I thank you you love each of them, love each of them so, so deeply. And thank you, God, that we can confidently say that you're with them and that you want to give them your peace. I pray for each of them as they go through this time of just so much change and so much uncertainty. For lots of them, they've lost lots of things. Father, we know that even if other people around can't see that, we know that you see that. I pray that each of them are getting to know you in new ways during this time, and they know that even if the country is full of change and on a lockdown, and God, you're not, your arms are open for them, and you want to talk to them, you want to get to know them and be in a relationship with them, and you want to give peace to pray, and you just press the name, come on, Holy Spirit, fill each now with your peace. Amen.
Amen. Thanks so much, Rachel. Thank you.
Okay.